rafting and sportive places in the USSR together with an operator and a group of tourists from Riga, Republic of Latvia. This film is a part of a collection made in the last 7 years. The tape contains an expedition along the country lying to the east of the Urals, the country being called Siberia. The mountainous Altai, the highest region in Siberia. A lot of fast rivers start in the mountain glaciers. Taigas that covers the area is rich in all kinds of animals, trees, berries and mushrooms. The picturesque landscape, fresh air and the mountainous surroundings and unpopulated areas are extremely attractive for tourists. The film contains a sportive expedition along the rivers of Altai. The route went along the most difficult parts of the river Chuya and Bashkausks. This route is the top, that is, the 6th class of difficulty. July. Along the Chuya road that links the USSR with Mongolia, we arrived at the river. At this place, the river forms a huge horseshoe and turns away from the road to the north Chuya. The most dangerous rapids of Chuya are situated here in Mazhoi Cascade. The high water level makes rafting even more dangerous. Equipment is ready and the catamarans at once jump into the powerful stream of Chuya. The river dashes along a narrow canyon. Powerful heavy water makes leading the catamaran problematic. A very dangerous rapid, Surovi, the stern. The rapid Pyramida, the pyramid. Further, the river enters a deep, narrow and rocky canyon. Even from the height of 100 meters, it's dangerous to look into. The high water level in the Mazhoi Cascade makes further rafting impossible, so we started crossing on foot to the Bashkaus River. Alp meadows of the Altai. The start of rafting in the green transparent water of Bashkaust. The first canyon of Bashkaust is called the Gorge. The Devil's Bridge. After this, there starts the lower canyon of Bashkaus. The rapid unpopulated. Sixth-class rapid barricading, the barricades. The pulse beats about 200. A very powerful rapid, Krusoy, the steep. The rapid Melnica, the mill. A day of rest. And Russian bath. and further down the canyon. Several parts of the river are hardly passable. We have to carry the catamarans. At this place the river is stronger than a man. The rapid kamikaze turns out to be the last for many of the rafters. It's hard to make up your mind to enter the rapid. Rocks prevent from overlooking it. And the final cascade of rapids, troglodyte, the man-eater, Sumeni, the family, Ukiami, the stubborn. All the obstacles have been safely passed, thanks to the catamaran. Bashkos flows out of the canyon and the route ends in a beautiful Teletsky lake. The Sayans Mountains stretch from the Altai to the Baikal Lake in the south of it. The Sayan's landscapes are just amazing. Yenisei, the biggest river of Siberia, starts here. Sayans is the richest place in falls in the whole Siberia. The summers here last just for 2 months, July and August. The places have the richest variety of animals and vegetation. In August, Taiga is full of nuts, berries and mushrooms. And what a fishing! All the routes across the Sayans are far from the roads. Now you'll see an expedition in one of the mountainous regions of South Siberia. East Sayan. The vast taiga region is almost unpopulated. There are only 2 small villages populated by a very small nation, Tofalari. Only 600 people have survived. A very beautiful green river Uda flows through this wild area. Its class of difficulty is 5. We have to cover 75 kilometers along a mountain path to Uda from the Kutara village. First we follow an old road built by the gold searchers about 100 years ago. We are crossing numerous fords. Occasionally you can meet shepherds in the pastures of horses and Norse deer. At the mountain crossing you'll find a lot of flowers and the medical plant golden rue. Right at the path you can find berries. Falls on the Hataga River. In the upper part, the river flows fast through the mountains covered with taiga, but it's quite calm. After 2 days rafting, serious rapids start. The Hungaroyski Rapid. A very dangerous rapid, Hanskei shape, the Honey Gorge. The most sportive part of the river starts here. And finally, the culmination of the route, the lower Uda Canyon. It starts with several rapids falls. A very powerful rapid, the crocodile. After the crocodiles, the river enters a rocky canyon with a chain of dangerous rapids. Ключ, the key. Прямой, the straight. Длинный, the long. The two last, very difficult and dangerous rapids are passed together. These are the Bashmak, the Boot, and Latok. Uda flows out of the canyon and it's time for a snack. day a ledge up at the end of the river. This is a film about one of the springs of the greatest rivers in Asia, Yenisei. Here in the geographic center of Asia it's called Ka-Hem. The country it flows through is Kuva. In ancient times these places were crossed by the troops of Chinggis Khan, the great conqueror. Have a look at this rich country, Tiger and the river Ka-Hem. Class of difficulty 4. In Siberia, such rocky narrowings are called shchoki, the cheeks. The Rapids by Balski. The rafting ends in a town called Kizil. The Baikal Lake is surrounded by mountains. Rivers flowing into the Baikal Lake cut through mountain ranges and form falls and rapids. The mountain ranges prevent airstreams that bring frequent rains in July and August. The mountains are covered by hardly passable taiga. There are no roads in the region, and we have to walk up to the start of rafting. And now we are moving to the east and floating down the two rivers carrying their water to Baikal. The route of the fifth class of difficulty starts and ends at the bank of the Baikal. The crossing to the river Kharamurin is long and difficult. We are going along the range Khamardaban. The lake Khat. In 4 days we reached the bank of the river. Beautiful, not very complicated rapids. After 80 kilometers, we are again on foot walking towards the river Snezhny. The route goes through 3 crossings along beautiful mountain lakes. Again 4 days walk along a path in taiga and mountains. The rapids of the Snezhnaya River. Having passed through about 100 heavy rapids, we are at the bank of the Baikal Lake again. We are in the east of the USSR. This country is called Primorye and is situated in the far east. The river Kema, fourth class of difficulty, starts in the mountain range Sihote-Alin and falls into the Japan Sea, 500 kilometers to the north from Vladivostok. This is the most sportive river in this region. The path leading to the river is 70 kilometers long. It starts in the geologist's village. Wild, scarcely passable taiga. Fallen trees make our way extremely hard. crossing to the Sicote Alin mountain range. Going down into the valley of Kema. Woods are full of berries and mushrooms. And here are the Kema Rapids. There are a lot of nice fishing places in Kema as well. The best rafting time down the Kema River is the late August and September. Picturesque rocks, transparent water, wild taiga and variety of vegetation leave unforgettable impressions about the route. This is a map of an enormous country, up to the latest days almost closed for the touristic world. We are offering you a wonderful opportunity to visit the most interesting and sportive places in the USSR together with an operator and a group of tourists from Riga, Republic of Latvia. This tape contains a survey of an expedition in the mountainous areas of the USSR. The highest mountains are situated in the Middle East, Pamir and Tian Shan, and in the south of the European part of the USSR, the Caucasus. The fastest and the most powerful rivers are situated here as well. We are in the Caucasus. A lot of quick and rapid rivers